President-elect Donald Trump has rallied his supporters at the Capitol One Arena in downtown Washington, D.C. just a day before his inauguration. During his speech, Trump touched on various topics, including the Middle East ceasefire, TikTok, and his day one actions as president. He's also mentioned his plans to visit Los Angeles later this week. President-elect Donald Trump has announced plans to sign close to 100 executive orders just hours after being sworn in as president, revoking dozens of orders and actions taken by the Biden administration. Trump made these remarks at a pre-inauguration dinner at the National Building Museum, attended by notable figures including Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and the Ambanis from India. Well, joining us now on this big story is a special guest. We have Abhijit Iyer Mitra, National Security Program at ORF, joining us live. He's also a visiting fellow at the Sandia National Laboratories, Albuquerque, and Stimson Center in Washington, D.C. Abhijit, welcome. Thank you for being with us today. All eyes on the United States. It's a big day. Donald Trump gets set to be sworn in. Trump 2.2 is all set to begin. What are your expectations?
So very specifically for India, I suspect we're going to have tariff troubles with him. But if you remember the last time, what we did was, other countries that had tariffs imposed on them, they immediately imposed counter tariffs and it led to a tariff war. India did not. What we did was we prolonged talks for 3 years, and by the end, it was the 4th year and no tariffs were imposed on us. So, we've got our tariff strategy in place, which is delay, 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 talk, talk, talk. On other things, generally, Trump is going to be very good to us. We're not going to see the kind of bickering you saw with, the current Biden administration, where Jake Sullivan was on Team India and Anthony Blinken was on Team Soros. And he'd read out every report condemning India for whatever fabricated attack on minorities or religious freedoms or what have you happening. On foreign policy, we are completely aligned. He is not so harsh on Russia. He is very harsh on China. We need that at the moment. We need a razor-sharp focus on China. If you look at everyone he's appointed, Marco Rubio as a Secretary of State, the ambassador to China who's been appointed, they are all known China hawks. The third issue in all of this will be IT and high-tech cooperation, which is going to go pretty well, which has always been pretty good under Trump. Especially because we have 5 Hindus in his cabinet. There's going to be Tulsi Gabbard, who's not Indian, but she is a Hindu. There is Vivek Ramaswamy. There is Kash Patel. There's Jay Bhattacharya. There's other people out there. J.D. Vance's wife. I mean, you can say he's half Indian that way, half Hindu that way. It's all going pretty good for India. On a larger context, he's already got a ceasefire deal in Gaza, which was one of the issues, not directly, of course, because Israel, Lebanon, Syria don't give us any oil, but the Houthis attacking traffic because of Gaza was an issue. It increased insurance premiums because a lot of the cars we manufacture that we export to Europe had gone up. Hopefully that's going to stop now. Ukraine was the other big issue, the sanctions on Russia, Russian oil, so on and so forth. He seems very intent on getting a ceasefire out there. So overall, I'd say that it's basically reached a stage where a Republican presidency, especially Trump presidency, is overall very good for us, except in tariffs. Democrat presidency is very mixed.
Yes. Now, that, of course, is the India perspective on relations going forward under Donald Trump, Abhijit. But as far as now the U.S. presidency is concerned, and the new, president-elect has indicated that he will be signing various orders, soon after coming to office. In fact, in the very first few hours itself. What do you believe those first big decisions will be, which will be taken by the new American president?
I believe the very first thing is going to be forgiving a lot of the Jan 6th, the convictees of the Jan 6th prosecutions from 2020. That's going to be a very big one because remember, from what we now know, there was really no evidence against them. It was all fabricated, certainly no evidence that's ever been made public of violent behavior. All the evidence we've seen was of peaceful behavior. So that'll be number one. Number two is going to be giving TikTok a 90-day extension where they either agree to be acquired by an American company or at least agree to share their coding with America so that, China's basic IT law, in which Clause 10 obligates all Chinese companies to share information with the Chinese government as and when required, that has to be nullified, negated somehow. We, of course, in India, we banned TikTok outright. Here, he's given them a way out. which is the American way, I guess. It's a win-win situation for China because they get the money from the buyout, but maybe the buyout might be a lot less than normal, and certainly they won't be able to get the information they could leech off American phones through any software backdoors. That's going to be number two. Number three, I believe, will be ending this whole, grift of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusivity initiatives, which was essentially, modern day gaslighting of sexual minorities, the genital mutilation of children, the sexualization of children, the mainstreaming of pedophilia. I think all of these are going to be very, very important decisions that he takes on day one that appeal to the core voter base. Fifth, and finally, possibly the most important decision is going to be the mass deportation of lots of illegal migrants. I do believe he's going to target the blue states and blue cities in that.
Okay. Also, there will also be, of course, expectations from Donald Trump vis-a-vis the two big conflicts that the world, of course, has also seen. One is has come to an end. Of course, that releasing of hostage has also started, and thankfully, of course, that ceasefire is in place now. We hope it's going to last for a very, very long time. But also the Russia-Ukraine war. Now, we have to wait and watch how that pans out as well, whether there will be further efforts to initiate some sort of ceasefire there too in the near future. All of this, remember, Abhijit, weighs in and will help Donald Trump's pledge of fixing the US economy. What's the best way to fix the US economy? End the wars.
So end the wars is slightly more complicated because, the Gaza ceasefire, I can almost guarantee it's not going to last very long. Hamas's credibility in the Gaza Strip comes from the fact it resists Israel. You can't be resisting Israel unless you're killing Israelis or firing rockets into Israel. The next rocket or the next bullet to get fired into Israel, Israel is going to start this all off again. Let's wait for 45 days. And I suspect after the 45-day period of the first three phases of the hostage exchange are done, this whole thing is going to start up again. Number one. Number two, a lot of my friends in Israel in the security services are telling me that this is a deal of convenience. He needed the Arab world behind him, as in Trump needed the Arab world behind him, because they've basically taken a decision to take out Iran's nuclear facilities. They're not going to regime change, but the speculation is they are going to significantly erode and take out Iranian nuclear facilities, and that's why it was done. And Netanyahu was sort of given a choice. What do you want? Do you want to finish Hamas, or what's the bigger enemy? Is it Hamas right now, or is it the Iranian nuclear program? We don't know. This is speculation. But I can guarantee you the Hamas ceasefire won't last very long. The second issue is Ukraine. I don't think Russia is going to settle for anything less than the complete neutralization of Ukraine as a military threat. So there will have to be guarantees given that Ukraine will never be allowed to join NATO. And maybe Russia will compromise on the annexation of Lugansk and Donetsk, the eastern Donbass, but they are not going to compromise on Crimea. So the recognition of their annexation of Crimea will be another important thing. Trump himself has said that in a sense, it's easier to solve because we know exactly what the Russians want, but it's tougher to solve because the Ukrainians will never accept it. There's certainly no appetite left.
Yes.
For continuing to give a blank check to Ukraine because it's very expensive to the American taxpayer, which brings us to the second question you asked. How do you fix the American economy? It's very simple. The American economy is overregulated. There's too much expenditure happening on issues like ESG, environmental compliance and DEI, diversity, equity, and things like that. There are too many regulations. State regulations are stifling. That's why, investment, manufacturing, and things like that are not happening in America. You need to reduce that. That is where DOGE, which Department of Governmental Expenditure, which Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to be running together, comes in. Let's see. I mean, these are all things. Theoretically, they should work. Practically, of course, things tend to vary.
Absolutely. No doubt, of course, ambitious goals, whether they'll be achieved or not, that time will tell. But big decisions, of course, can be taken by the head of state and will be taken by the US president. But the implementation is up to his team and the bureaucracy. Now, as far as his team is concerned, Abhijit, you were just, taking Elon's name and Vivek's name. There have been, of course, very interesting appointments by Donald Trump. Of course, Elon, Vivek, also many others of Indian origin, interestingly too, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard. But we've also seen other, picks as well by him, including Marco Rubio, also, of course, Robert Kennedy Jr. So he's picked a very solid team, at least on paper. Now, how is that team actually going to be implementing things on ground and also taking on the deep state, again something that the president-elect has spoken about?
This is where Kash Patel on one hand and Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy on the other hand come out. Because what Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will do is they'll decide that whole departments are irrelevant. They'll decide whole cadres of employees are irrelevant. They will be cutting expenditure savagely. So, you have the deep state in absolute and complete fear. I don't like the term deep state, but I'll use it because you've used it. In absolute fear that their pet programs are all going to collapse. On the second hand is the coercive element, which is where Kash Patel comes in. Now, remember, the entire first Trump presidency was sabotaged internally by so-called whistleblowers or whatever going out of their way to sabotage presidential initiatives. This time, remember, Trump is on much more solid ground. The Republicans control the House, they control the Senate, they control the presidency, and the president won the popular mandate as well. Unlike the last time when Hillary won the popular mandate, but Trump won the Electoral College. This time, there is absolutely no room for all the interfering or sabotaging elements within government to be doing what they're doing. You've also seen that from the latest revelations, New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, their viewership, readership have virtually collapsed. Again, it becomes a huge bonus for Trump. It makes Trump's life a lot easier this time. I still won't write away the George Soros, Pierre Omidyar, Hillary Clinton forces.
Okay.
They're still capable of doing a lot of damage. It's just that this time Trump has a much more realistic grip. He knows what the real internal enemy is, and he's got the team to be able to deal with that internal enemy, which he did not suspect or deal with the last time.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.